glowing shield which has an ability called Mana Burn. It's a laser that targets the farthest person, reducing their mana by 10% every 10 seconds. Not to mention it has a Chaotic Soul ability. Every time the boss loses 10% of its health, it launches an attack on the target that dealt the most damage. Monster to him while they keep attacking. They are skeptical that it would be so simple, especially since the entire server is having difficulties. But given that everything he says works, they decide to believe him. What he wants is for both of them to destroy the enemies, and none of them will get any rest until the boss is dead. The two girls are scared, thinking how immersive the situation is. But to the protagonist, this boss seems like a child trying to be threatening. He says that the script the boss is reading is too boring. However, the boss declares it's time to pay the price and throws a giant energy ball at the protagonist. He dodges it and casts more healing spells. Megumin then summons the wild dog and starts dealing damage. The problem is they deal between 8 to 15 damage, which is much less than John. But he tells them to stay behind him after dealing some damage. This way, they'll both receive the Mana Burn ability. The boss has already lost 10% of its health, so it uses the Chaotic Soul and throws an explosion at the protagonist. He takes 1500 damage and falls dead on the ground. The knight thinks he took a one-hit kill, but Megumin tells her to relax, explaining that if the name is Gray, it's not the real one. What he activated was the illusion boots, which have a 3-minute cooldown. At that moment, he gets a notification saying that the Blood-Tied Sword is being auctioned for 30,000. The protagonist gets excited, thinking now he can play calmly. The auction will end in 20 minutes, and he's curious to see how much the other guilds will bid. The scene shifts to the auction with 2 minutes and 32 seconds left. A knight from the Conqueror's Guild is angry. That's because their Team 8 also died to the boss. He realizes the only option to beat the dungeon is by buying the Blood-Tied Sword. A very dense girl says the player who auctioned it didn't contact any guild. The problem is the price is already at 40,000. The leader realizes that whoever it is, they are determined to make the guilds fight for it. Seeing no other option, he continues to increase the bid. The problem is that 40,000 is already several million in real money. In the residence of the guild called Heavenly Court, a guy named Yama is also asking about the auction. Someone tells him it was at 40,000, but now it's reached 55,000. He knows it's a good sword, but it's only level 10. If they keep increasing the bid, they'll end up losing money in the end. However, he is confident that with that sword, they could easily conquer the Shadow Realm. So he says to keep bidding. He doesn't care about the price, he just wants to get it. The bid goes to 56,000, 57,000, 60,000. Confident that with this sword in the Shadow Realm, they will be the first to clear it. The auction ends and he's very happy. But then a notification appears congratulating the protagonist group for being the first to complete that dungeon. The leader realizes someone played a trick on him and orders an investigation into these names immediately. He doesn't care which guild these 3 people belong to. He will deal with those who stole the first clear. Meanwhile, in the dungeon, the protagonist and his friends are calm with the boss lying dead on the ground. They receive a very good title called Pioneers, which increases item drops by 50%.